Hey, you came back. Or for those that are new here, we're putting a V8 in this Corvair the hard way because it is a transverse east-west conversion. And here's what the progress is now. So it's connecting. What it's connecting.
Connecting what?
Is the trailing arms. And so these are the control links. This is all tubing, 095 tubing. This is 120 wall tubing, 095, 083 inch and a quarter.
Whatever.
So the reason I go with this kind of suspension is because it has this huge space right here. It's completely devoid of any suspension parts. And that's what I needed to make a transverse motor fit in there with the transmission.
We get it.
There's no room for AA arms. Those two control arms are in back of the transmission. It leaves a lot of room for the drivetrain. In between videos, there's probably 50 hours of work. It's really tedious work. Like on previous videos, I'm gonna just do an update on where we are at on this thing. And then the later part of the video is the actual making of all this stuff. And you can all cut out after this, that's fine. But you never know, you may miss something real life-changing. So you may want to stay tuned. Dang it. And from the side view, you can see how this goes off that direction a little bit. And that's to clear the transmission. See how it's going through a little bit of camber. It's not going to have that much up travel. It's going to have about that much. That's about it. I don't think that's going to work. It's with a motor in it, and you can see how these sweep back a little bit to clear the transmission. I told you it needed that clearance. So I don't know if I broke any rules by angling those back a little bit, but it sure made room for the engine. Today I'm going to perfectly engineer Formula One suspension on my Corvair project. I'm going to show you how I do it using this foam board. Actually, all I want to do is keep the track width from this tire to the other tire the same as it goes through its travel. Because you know, if you made two equally length arms and it went up and down as travel, this is exaggerated, it would swing through an arc like this. So that creates scrub on the tires as the track width gets wider and narrower. So the whole purpose of designing this is just to keep the track width consistent, or at least as consistent as possible through its travel. The lower arm is fixed. This is as long as I can put the lower arm, and it's going to be level with the ground. Like a piston at the top of the stroke or the bottom of the stroke, it has the least amount of linear movement at the very beginning. So we want this parallel with the ground. These points are fixed on the bell and the hub, so they're unchangeable. So what that means is these 3 points are fixed, and this is the only one I can change. So I made all these different holes. These set of holes are just perfectly aligned, 6 inches across, parallel. And then I tried a couple with the arms going unparallel down towards the frame and up towards the frame. This would be the inside of the car. This is the chassis part of the car. This represents the white tire. So I suppose this car is going to have 5 inches total of travel. So that's 2.5 up, 2.5 down. When you move this fixture with this setting, it stays as close. We're looking at this point along this edge to keep it linear up and down as I can get. So at full extension, it's like 1/8 of an inch. And a full compression, it didn't even move. So you can see as it goes through its travel, it stays almost linear, except towards the very last part. And that's fine because on extension, the tire isn't weighted, so it's not as critical as compression. And that's where you really want to keep the track width the same. So it doesn't, as you're going over bumps, it's not banging around and changing direction in the rear as it loads one tire and then the other. So that's all I was shooting for, and designing the suspension is to keep the track width consistent as it goes through its travel. Didn't care about how the tire moves around, you know, angles, just the contact patch staying more linear. It's time for earplugs. Doubler plates. Fixtures, fixtures, fixtures. We have to be able to weld. So, make sure I get my torch in there. Well, I got a new metal thickness in. 160 thousandths chrome moly plate. Normally, something like this, I would do it in 190. I like to err on the side of almost enough. And I think 160 is gonna be almost enough. Making weld washers. So the reason I weld the weld washers on first to the big plate portion is it tends less to bow the steel. So the first thing is to weld these on, drill and ream the holes. Then I'm going to cut this completely square because I want to bend it next, and you want to bend it perfectly square. Last thing is I trim it. So the reason you have a weld washer is because the shoulder is thicker. The part that actually, the thickness of this that touches the bolt is thicker, so it tends less to oblong it around. That's the point of the weld washer, is to make that thicker. So the reason I like to trim it the very last and bend it first is because if you trim this and then try to make this bend, it sort of rounds out this corner right here. So it's pretty good for a rough. Woo! No! And that's why I wear gloves. Almost painted myself in a corner. I got that weld washer really close to where I got to bend it. Try to make the weld fixture 10-12 thousandths bigger than the rod end. Time to weld. So, you know, I bought this tool on eBay years ago and thinking, oh, I'll use that a lot. Well, I never really use it, but here I am today. I'm sanding down wood with it because I have to get this tube a little closer. And this is in the way. Something like that. 27.5. 27.5. Someone asked what tubing notcher I use, and this is what I use. It's a JD Squared Notch Master. Making more weld washers. I use 45 thousandths rod when doing this little job. Wow, look at that. Almost exact right diameter. I'm going to remove some of the mill scale. And by the way, D doesn't stand for penis. It stands for driver. And P doesn't stand for penis either. That stands for passenger. Wonder if this is going to be strong enough. I mean, it's solid steel pipe, but maybe it needs a brace or two. All right, let's pretend this tape is my supposed braces. Like that. Looks better already. I think it could use some more. Idiot. You know, I think these corner brackets are awesome. Really elegant. The next thing I'll be doing is attaching the transmission to this new chassis part. And I'll be using these things somehow, and there'll be one over here to catch these bungs. So I was thinking, what I was thinking is if I use maybe some angle iron like that. You know, I mean, it's plenty strong. I think it's 3/16. Let me know in the comments if you think it's not going to be strong enough, but I could go 1/4 inch, but no sense in overdoing it. 1/4 inch. So what I would want to do is, well, first of all, you want to mark them so you don't get them confused. Wait a minute. No, like this. There. There. Except I want it like this. I think I want it like this. There. So something like that. I mean, I'll paint it and stuff, and I'll file down that stuff. Always just push on a file, never pull and push, just push. Yeah, this is going to take a little while. I'll get on it.